Hello, everyone. I'm Sarah MacArthur. I'm the chair of the Democratic Party of Chaves County, and I'm here with the chair of the Bernalillo Democratic Party, uh, Marisol Enriquez. Am I saying it properly?
You
I
are.
hope.
Thank you.
Okay,
Yeah.
good. Yes. So, Marisol is going to run for the big statewide chair position of the Democratic Party of New Mexico. And as I've been doing, I've been posting different videos and asking the same questions of all candidates so they get an opportunity to share their views, their philosophies, their goals, that kind of thing, and just let us know who they are. So you, as a viewing public, have an informed decision to make, and it's a better informed decision. Also, the second reason I'm doing this, I've never said this before, but I end up saying it during the meeting, is that Democrats need to fight back with better communication and better messaging. And so this is my way of doing that. And I'm delighted to have you here. So I'm going to turn it over to her, having asked the first question. We're delighted you're here on our podcast. And can you tell us about your history with the Democratic Party and your just general history and when you got interested in politics and what informed your decision to be involved?
Yes. Thank you. First off, Sarah, thank you so much for
You're
doing this.
welcome.
It's really cool that you are kind of getting this out there because I agree that sharing more information about the folks who are involved in the party is really, really important,
Hmm.
and understanding our origins and why, right?
Hmm.
So yeah, I'm Marisol Enriquez. I am from New Mexico. I actually was born in Santa Fe, raised south of Las Cruces, and then moved here to Albuquerque in 1997. Um, I let's see. Let me start with. I come from a very large family. I have
Nice.
six siblings, so
Wow.
five of them are five of us are women, and one is sorry. I have five sisters and one brother, so there's six women siblings and one male sibling, and so a total full family of nine, which is a big task for my parents. Um,
Wow.
but yeah, it was there's and there's a whole history behind all of that too. Large families, Catholic families in New Mexico, all of that, right? So,
Hmm.
but yeah,
Sure.
so that's the thing about where I come from specifically. But I didn't get really, we were not really a political family. I really just think it was that my parents didn't have the time to participate in anything other than raising us, right? Supporting us and raising us. Um, we did always know we were Democrats. We grew up knowing that we needed to vote. So every single one of us, as soon as we turned 18 years old, we registered to vote. That was always instilled in us. Um, but some folks wouldn't refer to us as good. I hear this term all the time, good Democrats, because we have not been engaged aside from voting, right? So we hadn't done that. And I don't know if you remember, there's a country song by the group Alabama. And I don't remember the name of the song, but he talks, there's a line in there that says, um, we, something about the president was, whoever the president was at the time, but he says we were so poor that we couldn't tell. The president was promising that we were going to be okay, but we were so poor that we couldn't tell, right? And while I won't say that our family was very very like that poor, we definitely were lower, maybe not even quite middle class. And so that kind of political engagement, the things that were happening on the national scale were just not something accessible to us at the time. And so I come from that background, right? So skipping ahead, I didn't really know that I could be involved in politics.
Oh,
I felt like it was, politics is like this institution that I was not, that was some aside from me, outside from us, right?
hmm.
Not something that could be done at the local level. I didn't really know that or feel that or understand that. Um,
Right. Yeah.
yeah, so it was kind of like an intimidation, like a barrier, right? There's this intimidation factor. If you don't know about politics, it's scary to get involved. Um, and so I just kind of felt out of place, and like I didn't know what I was talking about. But when 2015 came around and like so many others, we started learning that Donald Trump was this candidate that the Republican Party was putting up and putting up and putting up for to be the nominee, and he was so ludicrous, and his thoughts and concepts were just outrageous and hateful and divisive. I
And
couldn't
it's
help
no
but pay
different
attention.
today.
It's no different today, yeah.
Right.
And yeah, and so I couldn't help but really start to pay attention, right? That was in
For sure.
2015-ish.
Hmm.
And I remember thinking, there's no way, right? There's no way they're going to let this guy be president, right? Um,
It, I,
and
yeah.
I remember election night going to bed thinking, how is this even possible, right? Um,
I, bigger
after,
than that was bigger than him, though. Just, and I'm going to let you finish, but bigger than
yeah,
that was I could not believe, even during the primary of 2015, why it was that people didn't push back. The Republican
yeah,
Party didn't push back, and they
yeah,
have gone so far from having decent, wonderful people there to now this. I mean, we're an oligarchy at this point. But
right,
go ahead.
yeah,
I'm sorry.
yeah,
I
it's
digress,
okay.
and I apologize.
Yeah, exactly. No, it's totally fine. It's a lot, and I think it's traumatic for us. So we
Hmm.
share, right? We share what we were feeling and worrying about.
Yes.
Um, but yes, so I remember, waking up the next day going, oh my gosh, he was elected. How did they let this happen? And I kept like coming back to the fact that I kept saying they, who are they, and how did they let this happen,
Good
right?
question. Yeah.
And so then I started thinking, who are they, right?
Uh-huh. That's a
And
great question. Yeah.
I realized, well, I'm part of that. We're all part of that.
Hmm.
We let this happen, right? So once I kind of recognized that I had some ownership in that, and all of us have some ownership in that, I started trying to read as much as I can, get as informed as I possibly could, get involved locally. I didn't really feel like I knew what the heck I was doing. I was starting from scratch. And I mean, I'd taken a government class in high school, but civics and stuff was just lacking for the most part. I did not really understand what all was the bigger systems at play. And so, and by that time I had forgotten high school. It was a long time ago. So I was starting from scratch. And so what I just tried to do was I engaged with a national organization called Surge. I think they've changed their name now, but it was at the time it was Standing Up for Racial Justice. And
Oh,
they were
okay.
making, yeah, they were making phone calls. They were doing phone calls for the Senate runoff in, I think it was
Oh, for
Georgia at
Mel,
that
was it?
time.
Oh, okay. Oh, okay.
So
All right.
yeah, so it was it's a national organization, and so I thought, okay, well, I can get started. They seem to know what they're doing. I'll make phone calls. I'll try, right? And so
Yeah.
I started doing that, and then I felt I grew a little more confidence, and so then I started making phone calls for things here, stuff going on here in town, around between like that. I went to the Women's March for by myself because I didn't really know if I could talk about politics
In Albuquerque or in
in
Washington?
Albuquerque. In
Oh, we were
Albuquerque,
at the
yeah,
same. I went with my son and
yeah,
his girlfriend at the time, but and it was pretty amazing. It was an
yeah.
amazing, and I
It
have
was.
lots of pictures of all the signs that were so crazy.
Yes, yes, yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And actually, that the People's March just happened Sunday. Yeah, Sunday here in town again,
Uh-huh.
because
I saw
they've
that.
expanded
Hmm.
it, and
Yeah.
it was a lot of the same feeling and solidarity. But yeah, that first march, it was the first protest or rally I'd ever gone to. So I went by myself. I had made my own signs. I didn't really know like who I could talk to in the community to go with me. And so I was kind of like bravely dipping my toe in here and there. And
Uh-huh.
so after that, I was like, you know what? I can't be quiet, right? I can't sit back. I have to be involved.
Good for you. Yeah.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
so skip forward to like 2021, we had a special election here. And because of that special election, with our wonderful Deb Holland being promoted to or nominated and appointed to becoming the Secretary of the Interior from the Congressional District 1 seat.
Hmm.
We had the special election. There were so many folks wanting to get involved and get into that position to succeed her. And it was a massive push from all these grassroots people that I was connected with through my yoga community and just because of living here for a long time. And so I
Hmm.
learned about our ward meeting. I had no idea what a ward meeting was. I didn't know what a ward chair
Hmm.
was. I didn't know what a precinct chair was. I didn't know what, but I was one of the few that showed up.
Hmm.
And so I was elected to be the precinct chair of my precinct. A few weeks into that process,
Yeah.
the ward chair stepped back, and I was appointed as the ward chair, not really knowing what to do. But then we went right into that whole special election process, and so that was
Hmm.
my real dive into party work.
So
Um,
who was the county chair of Bernalillo at that time? Was it Flora?
it was Flora Lucetto, yeah. And
Okay.
so yeah, so after I started, I wasn't quite sure how to develop a ward, or much less a precinct,
So I
or
just want to give
precinct,
you
much
a
less a ward.
tidbit.
Yeah,
Dylan told me when I became the chair, and I knew less than you did at that point, and he
yes.
said, "I'm going to give you this lady's phone number, and you call her and say I asked her to tell you what's going on." And basically, she sent me all this information and basically got me steered in the right direction. So Flora, we both have Flora to thank. So,
Yeah, we definitely do.
hmm.
She does have a great way of kind of pulling people into the fold and
Hmm.
helping
Yeah.
steer them in the way that suits their passions. And that's
Hmm.
something that I feel like I continue to be mentored by her, and I like to
Great.
in that regard. Yeah, I like to learn
Good,
from
good,
her
good.
consistently how to pull folks in. But through
Hmm.
like doing some special projects for her here and there, I started working with her more. And then she appointed me to the position of her second vice chair, where I served for about 9 months. And
Hmm.
then, she really just pulled me into every meeting, every project, everything, and gave me tons of exposure for how the party works. So then,
Hmm.
when it was time in 2023, and we knew that she was not going to seek reelection, I was more prepared to run for the county chair position. So I did. I ran unopposed for the most part. I'm still not sure if that's because people understood that I might be stepping into how are you going to do this? This is crazy to take on this county. It's like,
Well,
I don't know
your
if there
job
was
is completely
intimidation.
different than mine because you have so many precincts and so many
Yeah,
wards, so
yeah,
many volunteers and people that are willing to
right,
step up and do stuff. And
yeah,
I don't even I have assigned
yeah,
ward chairs, but they disappeared a year ago and they've
yeah.
not come back.
Yes,
So,
we
you know,
we
I
actually yeah we actually have some of that same struggle, because it is
mhm.
just, even though we've got so many people, it is hard to keep them engaged all the time.
But
So
it
yeah.
is it. I'm just acknowledging that Bernalillo
Hmm.
County is the largest county and has
Hmm.
the most work. And it's,
Yep.
people forget this is a volunteer unpaid job.
Yes.
And it
Yes.
is a time suck. And being the Democratic chair of the party for the state is going to be even a more big time suck. But there
Yes.
are a lot of people that don't seem to understand that these political organizations,
Hmm.
well, we ask for money. It's not so we get paid necessarily. We have paid
Yes.
positions that are legally allowed, but for the most part, everyone's a volunteer.
Yes.
And your
Exactly.
job was hard, very, very
Yes.
hard. So
Yes.
I just
Big job.
acknowledge
So
that.
so
Yeah.
yeah, I thank you for acknowledging that. It is,
Mm-hmm.
so many people ask me, this is paid, right? You get paid to do what you do, and I'm like, no, I mean, it's a labor of love.
You're like in my dreams.
In my dreams, right? Maybe one day in the future, who knows,
Somebody
right?
brought me a candy bar called a payday once, but
Yeah, exactly, right.
yeah.
And I ate that while I was having my coffee and doing some work in the morning, right? Like,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, it's funny.
That's
It's
so
funny to
funny.
realize that. But yes, big county, massive county, a ton of work. But I will say that I have a really amazing team. I implemented an advisory board, when I became chair, to help me to help kind of keep me supported and lifted, and so many wonderful people that just sort
So
of, that have their program areas and are subject matter experts in their areas that contribute to the team.
has anybody announced to run for your position then? Has any?
Not yet. No,
Okay.
not that I heard of.
Okay.
I have had a couple of phone calls, with interest, but not yet.
Not declared.
However,
Okay.
yeah, yeah. So we'll see. So yeah,
I
back to
hope
that
so.
point. Like, I hope so too. But back
Hmm.
to the point, like, I don't know if I ran unopposed in 2023 because I was already pulled in and people just assumed that I knew what I was doing and was prepared to take it on, or if they thought,
Hmm.
oh man, this is a huge job, I'm not doing that, right? I have no idea what that situation was, but
Well,
I was elected.
Well, and congratulations on that. I'm super excited that you got all this experience and that moving forward, we'll see what happens. We've got some things to do, and now would be the time to get involved if anybody was going to get involved, because
Exactly.
now we've actually got some real fights to fight.
Yeah,
I'm going to move to the second. I think you
sure,
answered if you feel comfortable with that first, and I'm going to go to the
sure.
second one and say, I think you got to go to the DNC in Chicago in August, and can
I
you tell
did.
us any of the highlights that you experienced or anything that you noticed that others might be of interest from
Yes,
your time there?
yes, thank you. I did. I was very lucky and privileged to be able to go to this convention. And I will just prior to talking about the experience there, I'm gonna talk about the process for that election and how and why it all came about. Um,
Okay.
so yeah, as you know, Flora, she had this concept, this idea in uh, before she moved on from her position as chair. She had this thought in her mind that maybe we should work as a state party toward getting young people into
Hmm.
the elect
Hmm.
to be our delegates. And I knew that the affirmative action committee for the state party had kind of developed that as one of their goals, but
Okay.
due to circumstances that they were having, that didn't happen. But some of the folks that were on the committee, some of the young folks that were on the affirmative action committee, decided to pick up the the goal, right? Decided to take it up and run with it. And so while I actually didn't have an intention to run for that delegate position, I was asked to join the effort to help uplift some of our folks who don't typically have these opportunities to go to the convention to get there.
Hmm.
And I was asked to sort of run alongside them, and so we did that. And I actually got a lot of votes, probably just because of my name, and people know me in Bernalillo County. But I actually was part of the gender balancing situation. You know, we have to have an equal number, equal gender balance, and
That
I
makes
was
me
gender
crazy,
balanced
but yeah.
out.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah. So, and that actually happened two times. Um, at the congressional district level and then also at the statewide level. But then, so I was elected as an alternate.
Okay.
And then someone who was elected
Declined.
declined,
Oh,
or was
okay.
not going to be able to do that. So as the first
Uh-huh.
elected alternate, I was able to step in and go. So it was, it was kind of an interesting process learning all of that. But from being gender balanced out, I was able to make way for folks to come in. So, and actually, Daniel Garcia was the beneficiary of that one.
Oh, that's great.
So
Okay. Uh-huh.
yeah, yeah, it was
Uh-huh.
great. So I was happy that so many folks, so many young people, and were able to
I
get
thought
there.
there might have been a bunch of young people that did get to go.
Yeah, yeah, there were. Yes,
So that was
yeah,
nice. And
yeah. So I'm proud of that work that we
hmm.
did for that. But yeah,
Hmm.
going to the convention, all I have to say is that it was just such massive energy. Um, it was overwhelming at times and
Hmm.
overstimulating. And I couldn't really even, while I was there, you're sort of sleep deprived and you don't have a good opportunity to get a good meal or, any of these things, or hydrate properly, just all of the things.
Uh-huh.
And so there was just so much going on, so much energy that I really couldn't absorb it.
Hmm.
And I remember that I think it was the second night when our former President Obama was speaking.
Hmm.
My sister, who is in Las Cruces, she texted me and she said, "I am so emotional knowing that you are there in the presence of such a great leader.
Yeah.
I'm sitting here crying.
Yeah.
And I just remember thinking, I can't even feel that. I can't even feel that because I'm so overstimulated. I can't even absorb that. Um,
Well, and there's just so many people all over the place, right?
yes, and
And
it's
yeah.
massive. Yes. So
Hmm.
so I actually had to, when I came back home after the convention, I actually had to watch all the speeches on YouTube after the fact to like reconnect with what was
What they
actually
were
happening.
saying.
yeah, it was so bizarre to be in that space, but it was so exciting and so energetic, and just to be around so many Democrats that like, we feel the same way, we live the same values. It was such a great reminder that we are not alone. None of us are
Mhm.
alone, right? We have
Mhm.
so many people working and doing the good fight. So that was reaffirming. Yeah, Hillary Clinton's speech really hit home because she talked about like the history of the women's fight for suffrage and how long it has been happening. I do remember thinking that I would want my 96-year-old mother, a grandmother, to be able to see that we elected a woman president. And she
I know.
unfortunately didn't get to see that. She passed away in November.
Oh, I'm
And so I,
sorry.
I was really sad about that. But yeah, I was
Yeah.
I was hopeful that she was able to see that history. But it just didn't happen, as you know, which is
Did
a
she
little
get to
devastating.
vote for
So
her? Did
she
she
did.
vote? Okay,
She
then
did.
that's
She
that's
cast
pretty
her vote for
boss.
her. Yes,
Okay,
she was
good. Okay.
very, very, very excited to do that. She made sure she
Uh-huh.
got that vote in, which was beautiful. So
I thought Jimmy
yeah,
Carter was funny because he said, "I don't care how long I live, as long as I can live long enough to vote for a black woman." And
yeah,
I thought that was
exactly.
pretty pungent of him
Yes,
to say, and so I was excited for him.
yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So
Uh,
yeah, just so
I
much
um
to take in.
I liked Michelle Obama's speech, and when she said do something, I mean, within a couple of days, I had ordered a bunch of long pads, like say shopping list pads, and at
Yeah.
the top they said do something. At the bottom they have our
Yes.
county. So
Yes.
so we passed those out during while we had our headquarters opened, and we were passing those out to people. So anyway, I
Yeah.
thought that was
That's
pretty
excellent.
exciting.
It
Yeah,
was. It was
do
very
something.
exciting. Her speech was just amazing. Yeah,
Hmm. Hmm.
it was powerful, and it was like, hey, we gotta get up and do something, right? And this is your invitation. That's what I loved what she said. If you're waiting for an invitation or to be asked, this is
Here
it.
it is. Yeah, here
Here
it
it is.
is.
Yeah.
Well, the other
Yeah.
thing that was exciting for us here at home watching from the television was when the states were announced and watching all the various ways the states cast their votes. And so that was kind of cool. So, anyway,
Yeah.
well, I'm glad that you
Yeah.
got to
That was one of
go.
the most exciting times.
Okay.
Me
So
too.
you're welcome. You're running to become the chair of the Democratic Party of New Mexico, and we thank you for stepping up
Yes.
and declaring yourself early. Can you tell us what motivated you to take on this role, this new
Yes.
role?
Yes, I can. I had considered it, learning sort of informally that um, our current chair Jessica may not run again. I had considered it, had some conversations with people about it, um, but knowing the significance of Bernalillo County in the state, I was feeling like, after just having one term with the Bernalillo County Party, I was feeling like work hadn't quite been, I wasn't quite ready to like hand it. I felt like there needed more work to be done.
Hmm.
Um, and so I intended to run for re-election for Bernalillo County. Um, part of that, part of that decision was that, like, I've done the job now for 2 years. I've really started
Hmm.
training our vice chairs to pick up so much of the work and
Hmm.
take on their roles and be successful in their roles. Um, and we had implemented so many like systems and processes that things were starting to smoothly run, right?
Hmm. Hmm.
And they were doing a lot. A lot of that was done prior to my election anyway. So we were kind of refining systems and procedures and processes
Hmm.
to make things more efficient for us because of the fact that we're all volunteers.
Hmm.
So because I have this really beautiful team of dedicated folks who work every day with the party to keep things going, our newsletter running, all these, just all this good stuff happening. Um, and that things were starting to sort of lighten for me. The load was starting to lighten for me.
It's
Um,
great.
I I thought, well, the thing that's going to hold me back in stepping forward for running for state party chair is my school demands. So I'm in school right now. I'm working to achieve my degree in Chicana and Chicano studies with a minor in economics. And my personal goal is to go to the UNM School of Law. So I had kind of set up like this timeline that I would, um, finish my schooling, my bachelor's degree this spring, uh, simultaneously apply for the LSAT, or take the LSAT and apply for law school, and potentially go into the School of Law this coming fall. But and so that was sort of that was the way things were going. I was like, okay, I can run for Bernalillo County Chair. Things are starting to work more smoothly, and I can manage the load because it's a known quantity, right? Like I know what needs to be, how to manage the times for this
Mm-hmm.
county. Um, Come January, though, I learned that, and I had, pre-registered for classes and stuff, but there's this one class that I need as a prerequisite to two of my other economics courses, and
Oh,
the it's not offered in the
offered in the
format,
spring.
yeah, in the
Oh,
spring. So it's just going to delay everything, right? And I had to ask myself, and I talked with my partner, and I said, I'm feeling, I don't know what I was feeling, that I'm not going to be able to graduate this spring. And he said, who cares? Like, what's the timeline, right? Why are you in a rush? And I said, you're right, right? Like, there's no real rush.
right, right.
Um,
Yeah,
and so he was like, nobody's, I don't think anybody's going to think any less of you. And also, who cares what they think
that's
if
right.
you graduate a semester later? Like, this is not a big deal, right? He kind of put that
Yeah.
into perspective for me.
Uh-huh.
And he said, I think you should run for the state party chair. You're doing impactful work. You can make a greater impact,
Right.
at the state level by simply bringing some of the things you've done at Bernalillo County up
Mm-hmm.
to that
Mm-hmm.
operation. And he said, and law school will be there, right? It'll be there for you whenever you're ready. And
Mm-hmm.
I don't know about you. In my life, my partner, his opinion and perspectives weigh a lot. And so that helped me to kind of think, well, can I do this? And should I do this? So having a couple more conversations, I decided, you know what, I'm going to go for it. And here's the
Here we
thing,
are.
here
Yeah.
we are. And if I should not be elected in this role for any reason, well, then I will still be engaged, right? I will work at the county party level or the state party level, wherever anybody will have me.
Every
So,
level needs
um,
its volunteers. So yeah,
exactly. Yeah.
absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah.
Can you tell me what the mandate for our organization, the Democratic Party of New Mexico, is?
Yeah. I think we have a few of those. Primarily, of course,
Okay.
right? Our party is to energize folks and get them out to vote to elect Democrats, right? To
Mm-hmm.
help and educate people on what Democrats work for,
Okay.
how we work for the people, and to elect leaders to those positions so they can continue that work on a policy level at the state level, at the national level, et cetera. Um, I do think we also have a responsibility um, to represent our county parties and to support our county parties, because
Mm-hmm.
I think that we're only as strong as our weakest county party. And when I say weakest, I only mean in the way of infrastructure and support, not that we have any weak Democrats or anything like that. I don't want to put that out there, but um, I think that we have a lot of work to do. I also think that another level of our mandate is that we need to be building up and preparing and uh, creating this bench of candidates that will start to be able to step up, and we should be a resource for them. So I think it's longevity, right? Like we have several different mandates, but overarching, we have to ensure that our party is remains here. We are planning for 50 years down the road or 100. We're working to be sustainable, and that we can continue the work of the Democrats in New Mexico. So yeah, I mean, I
Yeah.
think everybody will tell you it's to elect Democrats, but it's multiple things to support that goal.
I get a variety of answers when I ask people that. So they don't always
Sure.
say that.
Yeah.
um, what do you understand are the responsibilities of the chair in this political organization? And which is, I think you probably had a lot of experience being the head of the Bernalillo County chair, but translate that to, do you know what those responsibilities will be like as the chair for the state party?
Yeah. I think the chair is required to strategically lead the organization. We have to strategically lead to achieve the party's vision. I also think the vision uh, is informed by the party platform, right? So we've got to, the chair has to strategically lead. I know that as a leader of an organization, you have to ensure the solvency of the organization, and that happens through fundraising, and then implementing systems and procedures to ensure sustainability. Because without sustainability, it will not grow. It will not thrive. It will actually shrink. So all of those things are multifaceted. Of course, there's also balancing of um, the, the 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 needs of our elected officials, our federal delegation, our governor, our state legislature, as well as the county parties, right? The county parties are who does the work, and I have that perspective as a leader from Bernalillo County.
Mm-hmm.
I understand the kind of support that we need from the state party, and I see that in other counties through talking with multiple county chairs and actually helping to support multiple county chairs from the Bernalillo County role. I see what's lacking in the way of support for county chairs. We are who get the work done, right, at the grassroots level.
Mm-hmm.
So while we have all this strategic need and these balancing of needs from our elected officials, we have a very large requirement, I suppose, the responsibility to ensure our county parties are successful. And unfortunately, I feel like we don't have that as of yet. While our current party has done our current state party has done a great job for setting up our infrastructure and setting us up to be solvent, and to continue work. And I mean, they achieved really great things, right? They've got employees year round, whereas that didn't used to be the case. So institutional memory, institutional knowledge is carried through. They're unionized, right? So
that's right. I forgot.
Fair wages. They have benefits. I mean, it's really living. The current administration and our state party have set up the party to lead in alignment with our democratic values. Exactly.
Yes. Yeah. You mentioned something. Are you almost? I want to ask you a follow-up when you're done.
Sure. Yeah. Okay. All I was going to say is they've done a really great job providing that infrastructure.
Yes, they have.
And now I think that we can, it is a time to take it and refine those things to be able to support and make it broad across the state rather than just sort of centralized in Bernalillo.
Yeah. You mentioned the word, and you mentioned platforms. And I just wondered, I'm sorry, this is my personal opinion. This is nobody else speaking. This is me. 38 pages is a lot. It's just so large. It's just too much. And it doesn't address the full state. So while it addresses things, it's not, and this is again my personal opinion, it doesn't address, to say we're going to get rid of oil and gas. Great, sounds wonderful. There are currently over 6,000 things made with oil and gas. There are currently 40% of the state's budget comes from our oil and gas. You can't just blindly say, and I had somebody that told me that was on the platform committee, well, they'll just have to deal with it. Oh, I'm sorry, you're going to just wipe out Chaves County and Eddy County and Lee County? You just can't wipe out their infrastructure here in these counties. They do produce oil and gas. And well, that's just one area in the platform. There are other areas in the platform. I'm like, this is very, I don't want to use the word extreme. I want to say it's very non-fluid. How's that? And being non-fluid is not necessarily always a good thing. You have to have, I think that our problem in our politics nationally and is that we are not fluid enough to sit down at the table and say, all parties are here, all parties have been invited, and now let's have a discussion and compromise. And if that's our platform and that's what you're expected to go with, that's not necessary. I feel like maybe some new lifeblood needs to be in the platform committee where they have people from every section of the communities in there, and that the weight of them is taken seriously. So can you inform on any of those things that I just grouchily
Yeah,
touched on.
yeah. I'm not sure that I can inform, but I can certainly share my perspective on it.
Okay, let's hear that.
Um, I I do know I do think that we are too urban centric, right? We are too Bernalillo County centric as a state party. I realize that I get the benefit of that here because the state party offices are here. I get the
Mm-hmm.
benefit of hearing that stuff, and I do think our standing committees are also Bernalillo County centric, which then leads to not understanding the perspectives of folks around the state who are not in Bernalillo County or in the central metro sort of region.
Mm-hmm.
And so I thank you for that share because you are in a rural county that needs that kind of support and representation. Um, yes, we do need some. I think, and I'll just kind of harken back to the question you asked earlier about like what made you step up. I do think we need some transformation. We need some shifts. We need some greater representation. We need to. I think that doubling down on sort of what we've been doing is not working. We're starting to see those shifts, right? I saw the shifts in Bernalillo County. We had lost. We had people vote for Trump, and we started shifting. Not
I couldn't believe
massively,
it.
but
Yeah.
we can't take that for granted. And I don't
Enough to
think
make it
doubling down.
noticeable. Yeah.
Exactly. Yes.
Right.
And
Mm-hmm.
yeah. And so I think, okay, we need to transform. You did mention earlier that I do, maybe I'm not sure if it was when we were recording or before, but I do have a business. I own a small business. And one of the very first things that a business coach tells you when you seek some help is if you are not willing to evolve with your customer base, you will go out of business. And I can see that that concept is applicable to our state party, our party on the whole, actually, nationally within the state,
Mm-hmm.
even down in our counties. And it does come back to messaging, informing, educating, et cetera, all that stuff. But the thing about it is we do need to make a shift. We need some newer perspectives. We need broader perspectives. Um, we need to be able to inform and educate folks, right? I think that some of these um, concepts about just getting rid of oil and gas, while while maybe these are ideals for far in the future, they can't be achieved overnight. They have to be achieved strategically and in a way that supports the folks who are being supported by oil and gas. I know our public schools are massively funded through oil and gas money. Our education systems are funded this way, and we can't lose that. We have to be smart about the way that we're doing those things. I don't know that as state party chair, that's something that I can necessarily affect or impact, but I can bring in more voices. And
Mm-hmm.
I would appreciate that perspective as we're working through, we need to have the voices from all the different counties to be able to share because we're a broad landscape. We're not just Bernalillo County centric. We're not just Santa Fe. We're not just Doñana County. We're Lee County and Union County and Eddy County and Chavez County and McKinley County and all over the place. And we have such a diverse and beautiful, I guess, state that everybody needs to be represented, and that's our platform as a Democratic Party is to bring all the voices to the table. So yeah, I think we need to go to places like we need to get state platforms and resolutions committees out to
Well,
your
okay,
county,
so I just looked
right?
it up. It says energy and
Yeah.
environment, number 4. We affirm New
Mm-hmm.
Mexico must be using 100% renewable electricity by 2030.
Mm-hmm.
And we must move swiftly to 100% renewable electricity and remove fossil fuels from all sectors as soon as possible.
Mm-hmm.
Well, those just aren't realistic. And to
Yeah.
have those in your platform, make it difficult to be taken seriously if what you're
Sure.
saying is to the southeastern New Mexico part of the state that produces 40% of the budget for the state, we're just going to wipe you off and you'll have to deal with it and figure out and go to renewable energy and just do that with the wave of a hand and not real thought, not real consideration. And
Yeah.
certainly the people down here are never gonna go with that. And it's very
Yeah.
Republican. It's 73% Republican to the detriment of the Democratic Party. I can't get anyone elected. Not only can I not
Hmm.
get them elected, I can't even get them to run anymore because
Hmm.
they're like, why should I spend the money? Why
Yeah.
would I spend the money? And you and I have read enough stuff about parties and growing the party and doing this in elections and stuff to know that it takes 2 to 3 election cycles for that candidate to become well known enough for the people to actually start voting for them.
Hmm.
You're not gonna win the first time. You may
Yeah.
not win the second time. Maybe the third time you might win in a county
Yeah.
like this. But who's got that money and who's going to give it to him? Well, I don't know the answer to that, but that would be an interesting question. And I just throw those out
Yeah.
as very specific things. But let's move on. And we beat that to a dead horse.
Yeah.
Poor
And
horse.
but I really think your perspective, I think it's really, really important. The challenge is like it, when I take a visit out to Chavez County, which I will,
Hmm.
even before the election happens, I will head out there to meet with you.
Oh,
But
great. Great.
my philosophy on things is, if you're going to try to list communities, you have to go in and let them tell you how to list it,
Well, and
because
I
they're the
am,
experts, right?
I mean, I'm devastated by the flood here in Roswell. It was a 500-year
Yeah.
flood.
Yeah.
And our museum has been devastated. I'm devastated by
Yeah.
California's fires and the flooding
Yeah.
that'll come afterwards, and the
Yeah.
hurricanes and the devastation. I am not cognizant of the fact that a lot of this stuff is created by carbon fuels and carbon. I don't know the right popular the terminology, but yes, climate change is real, and not
Yeah.
addressing it is a problem too. So we
Hmm.
have to find a happy medium to start really pushing it,
Yeah.
and I know today there's no mandate that you have to buy electric cars. But there's been an executive order signed by the White House yesterday saying that the mandate for electric cars has been removed, which, that sounds great. Okay, fine, do whatever you want. But there never was a mandate to begin with, Donald. Anyway,
Right.
just throwing that out there.
Yeah,
Um,
I agree. It's a real complicated issue because of our dependency on oil and gas, and it will take. And I think our legislators are actually starting to really pay attention to the what it's going to
oh,
take.
that'd be great.
Um,
Yeah.
yeah,
Well, we're
because
sending
it's going
up
to
a
take
new guy.
some.
I'm
Oh,
sorry. Let
good,
me just,
good.
Mark. I mean, I put my name in the hat and had the commissioners deal with me just because some Democrat needed to show up. So I
Yes,
put my
thank
name
you
in the
for
hat,
doing that.
knowing, oh, you're welcome. But like I said, like I told Mark Murphy, when he got appointed by the chair because the other man that had that, Jared Hembry, has had some medical concern that has forced him
Yeah,
to resign.
yeah.
So I hope that he is better. But I told Mark, I said, an iceberg has a better chance of forming in hell than I do of getting that job. But but Mr. Murphy is an oil and gas man. He owns Strata
Hmm.
Oil Company here in
Hmm.
Roswell, and listening to his answers, I'm not unsatisfied that he'll probably be very conscientious, and he's at the table now and he can help to
Good.
renew stuff. He said something very encouraging about instead of using fresh water to do fracking, they would use that they're looking in and developing systems to be able to use brackish water that they've already
Hmm.
destroyed and reuse it.
Yeah,
And I think,
yeah,
wow, okay, that's a step in the right direction. So
yeah.
anyway,
Yes, I
I
do
totally
think that there's
digress.
many folks. Yeah, yeah. I I
Hmm.
I know it's a conversation we could have for hours, but yes, you've got to,
Oh,
as you're
okay.
shifting away, you've got to yeah, as you're shifting away from something, you've got to be able to backfill it with something else, and that's going
Hmm.
to mean uh, you know, investments in education and new jobs, things in another way. So it has to all sort of work uh
It's got to revolve
incrementally.
around each other. Yeah, I like
Yeah,
your
exactly.
worldview.
Yes, sort of like the yin and the yang thing, right? Like it has to balance each other
Okay.
out as it revolves, right? And so yeah, so that's
Well,
what
that's
we've got to do.
appropriate from
Yeah,
you as a yoga studio
yes.
owner to have the yin and the
Yes,
yang.
yeah, exactly, right. That's what comes back to me, right? Like I come back to my practice all the time for
That's
everything.
great. All right. Um, do you have any anticipation about the types of duties that you're going to be involved with? And have you already had a conversation with Jessica about what her day to day is like or anything of that nature?
Yeah, I have actually. I have
Okay.
had good conversations with Jessica. But I benefit from the fact that I live in Bernalillo County, so I've had conversations with her throughout, my time as Bernalillo County chair and as the vice chair before that.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but yeah, so a lot of her time has been spent really dedicating to ensuring the stability of the party operations current as they are. So she's really worked to grow, right? Her team has really worked to grow the party, again, to bring employees on year round, to implement an internship program to get our young folks involved and working within the party as well. Um, she's done a tremendous job, I think, getting it there, and it's now running smoothly.
Mm-hmm.
Um, she has spent a tremendous amount of time fundraising to make sure that happens. She also, I know, has worked to make that role sustainable, right? So the fundraising ask is more sustainable than it has been in the past. As you know, she's served now for 4 years. So her first term was really just kind of digging out and building up, and her second term has been like stabilizing. And so it's got a very strong foundation now. The fundraising requirement for the party is in a more sustainable place. She's worked to make that happen. I know that that's going to be a big job for me too. Is fundraising. I don't have a problem doing that. I'm not a professional fundraiser, but I am absolutely willing to learn better techniques. We've done a pretty good job building up our bank account in Bernalillo County, so I've taken a lot of those skills and I would translate them to this new role. But yeah, the duties of the chair require understanding there's tremendous nuance in the definite, tremendously stressful roles that our elected officials have in representing everyone, helping them to supporting them in their efforts to keep New Mexico a safe haven. We're this little blue dot in the sea of red with Texas and Arizona sort of around us. And we've got to, we've got to be able to support and understand the nuances of their roles, ensuring transparency, making sure that donors feel good and confident about the direction we're headed, where their money is being spent. We've got to, I think, forge and nurture relationships with awareness and sensitivity and cultural competence to ensure that the party is kind of reflecting everybody and representing everybody as we are helping to support our elected officials and then getting
Oh,
future
okay.
candidates elected
Mm-hmm.
again. So yeah, lots of different obligations, lots of different skill sets. And I think that, that I have an extensive background with systems and procedures. Like I've got a corporate background. And so systems and procedures are the way that an organization runs. We've implemented that here at Bernalillo County. I think that there's a lot of ways that we can do that, bring greater, more efficiency to the state party so that we can then, it becomes more sustainable. We can do
Sure.
more of that work to do outreach and get our county parties, our county parties supported. And yeah, but I think we've got to really make sure that we're doing it with that awareness, again, cultural competence, because we have so many different cultures here in New Mexico, and to build trust. And that is nurturing of relationships. That is through healing and nurturing and continued transparency and trust.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, a lot of things required of the chair,
Right.
for sure.
So the number 6 question is, what do you think DPNM's biggest concern is now? Do you have like a particular thought that,
Yeah,
one thing over another or anything like that?
I think that for right now, because we've just elected so many Democrats, they're getting ready to get up into the legislative session to start doing the good work for New Mexico and continue it.
Today. I think
In
it's
many regards,
today, right?
it's today. Yeah, they started
Yeah.
today.
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah.
so I think that right now, the fact that we just had this big election, we're in a place now where we need to address the biggest concern, and that is healing fractures. I know that we've got some fractures within the state party from county parties who are having their own issues and struggles. I think it requires it's right now the requirement for the party is to heal those fractures do everything we possibly can to establish and find a common ground so that we are able to move forward. Because as we face this new administration, this MAGA administration, um, we're even going to have to step outside of what we've been doing, maybe even make ourselves a little uncomfortable, and learn to rely on common goals, right? To build our alliances and work together in that way, even if we disagree with each other on other things. And that can expand outside of the party too. We've got to build coalitions. Because many organizations, many even other parties have aligned goals with Democrats, and we can build those coalitions to get some of those our common goals achieved. But it's going to require healing. It's going to require time investment. It's going to require nurturing and trust building. And I think those are some of the biggest concerns for our state party now. And if we don't address them in a different way than we have been, we're going to basically be doubling down on the status quo. We're not going to be a party that people feel connected to, especially our youth who are going to take over our party. They're not going to see us as something that they can identify with, and that is a party that is right for them. I'm sure you know the numbers of the independent party are growing, and registration of voters in the independent realm are growing, and that's a big signal for us that we need to
And
shift. Um,
that made me think of a
yeah,
question.
sure.
Have you seen the advertisements on TV for there's an organization about voting and changing our primaries to allow independents to vote,
Yeah.
which again, my personal opinion is I think that's not a bad thing. I think that
Mm-hmm.
only enfranchises more people to be able to vote. What is your
Sure.
thought on that topic?
Yes, yes. My perspective is that I am in support of semi-open primaries. The difference between open primaries and semi-open primaries is that with a semi-open, you have to say, I want to vote with this particular party, Democrat or Republican, right? When you go to do that. Completely open primary is you just go to the polls and you just vote however you want to. You don't have to
So
decide
everybody's
who you're
on
voting.
the sheet. So instead of
Exactly.
so
Yep.
say I'm an independent and I go and it's a semi-open. Before I go, I have to say I want the Republican ticket or I want the
Yes.
And so
Exactly.
why would just curious because I don't know enough about it and I'm sure listeners want to hear this, viewers want to hear this is why would it be more important for them to say they want to vote Democrat or Republican at the primary level? Why can't they wouldn't it be more open for anyone to just be able to select who they want, or do you think that would be a bad thing? Is there some strategy that people
Yeah.
don't want to have
Yeah.
happen or something?
Yes, I think there are challenges, right, for some of our legislators who are representing districts who are very who where maybe they're a large part of their constituency is the Republican Party or something like that, or they're feeling like they're not completely open primaries might be a detriment to having uh, their ability to get reelected, right? I think that in some of those challenging districts, that is like a strategy for ensuring that we keep Democrats in office, not allowing fully open. I think semi-open is a good compromise where we re-enfranchise folks who are feeling, that the parties don't reflect them, or even the Democratic Party. And also, they're registered voters, they're taxpaying members, they should be able to have their voices heard. I think that semi-open is a good compromise where we say, okay, here's you as an independent defined to state, should whoever it is, you should come and be able to say, I'm going to vote on either ticket, and weigh in on who your legislator could potentially be, right? I think you're right that that having closed primaries, it does disenfranchise a large population of people, and that population of people is growing, and strategically we can't afford not to keep up.
No, this sounds stupid, but like just say I'm a Democrat and it's an open primary, like not
Mm-hmm.
semi-open. Wouldn't I
Mm-hmm.
then have Republicans and Democrats and I would have to pick a Republican and a Democrat to run?
You
I
know,
mean,
You
Is
know,
that
I'm not actually. That's a really great question, and I would have to find out for you about how
well,
the
I
ballot
just
is
wondered.
organized.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
mean, because if it was
yeah.
completely open, but you can pick one from each party,
Hmm.
right? So that you then have, but maybe that's the point is they don't want them picking more than one. They only want you to pick
And
your
and I think
party.
that
I just
yeah,
don't, yeah, it's an interesting
yeah,
concept.
it is,
Well, we're
and I
not going to
think
solve
that
it here, but
yeah, we're not going
yeah,
to solve it, definitely not. And I think we could learn more about what
for
the
sure.
reasons for open for not wanting to embrace completely open primaries is. I know that, and you probably know this too, right? Ballot placement, name placement on a ballot actually psychologically has an impact on people. And so I
Right?
wonder if that has something to do with it. And I would be interested to learn more about that. But
Yet
I
they
do
went
think for
all the
my
way
open
down the
office,
page and found Donald Trump,
yeah, yeah,
which he was
exactly,
so
right,
far down the page and they still
right,
found
right,
him.
exactly.
So
So
that theory is
yeah,
kind of a
so
little,
yeah, so there's
sorry.
more to it than, I mean, there's human behavior and psychology that goes into
Okay.
to that too.
It's an
So yeah,
interesting
learning more about
discussion.
that is
Maybe we can
it is.
both do our research and have another podcast sometime
That would
about
be
that
great. Yes,
topic. It would be so fun.
yes,
Yeah.
yes, that would be
Um,
lovely.
Three more questions, and you can make them as long or as brief as you want, but I don't
Okay,
want to take up your entire lunch hour. So,
that's
what
all
makes
right.
you the right choice for this position?
I think that what makes me the right choice for this position is that uh, I have experience as a county party chair. I understand the operations aspect. I understand internal processes and procedures. I have a great background in, like I said, corporate organization uh, in the way of ensuring an operation can run smoothly. I have been with the county party for a long time. I have a small business. I am a native New Mexican. I am vested and interested. This work, party work, political work is something I'll do until the day I die. And I know that it is it is more of like a calling to me to step into this role because I think that what we've been doing at Bernalillo County, there's a lot of things that we've done there at the county party level that I could bring up to the state party level to make the organization better. I also am just naturally interested in connecting with people, learning their perspectives. I try to bring as many folks to the table as I possibly can in my own personal capacity. And I've done that in Bernalillo County as well. I have helped with getting the LGBTQ plus caucus set up and running after it being defunct for many, many years. Once I learned there was an opportunity, I did that, right?
Mhm.
I reached out to people across the state to try to say, hey, who should be involved in getting this organization up? Let me hold the space for you to do this. I am not of the queer community, so I am not the right person, but I can hold the space for you and get you guys together. And that way you decide how to go forward. I have done that with young people. I'm a member of the UNM College Dems. I have connections and relationships with people with the NMSU College Dems. I have worked extensively in partnership with the Young Democrats of New Mexico. I think that we have an obligation to prepare and help and support our future.
Mhm.
And I think that that's what I lead with. And I think that doubling down on what we've been doing is the wrong approach. We're going to lose people and we may fracture even further. If we acknowledge our challenges like I have done today and have been,
Mhm.
and recognize that we need to shift and transform and embrace that instead of be fearful of it, I think we can do what we need to do to keep this party going strong and thriving. So all of that combined, it's my personal philosophy that this is work that is necessary of me. I have the availability to do it. I have the resources to do it, and therefore I should do it for the benefit of our New Mexicans. I have a bunch of nieces and nephews that I want them to be able to thrive. I want them to have good lives and be able to afford homes. And any way that I can help make that happen is something that I will do, and I have done.
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
yeah,
Good,
that's
good.
why I feel I'm the right choice for this position.
Wonderful.
Yeah,
It's like being interviewed,
thank
isn't
you.
it?
Yeah, it really is.
Nationally, what do
Yeah.
you see as the biggest obstacle for us maintaining or getting past the American first, the golden
Yeah,
age MAGA
yeah,
agenda.
yeah.
Yeah,
Um, I think that we need to stop letting the right define who we are. We have responded, but we have not taken our narrative. We are known, just Democrats are known as the party of abortion, and we are known as the party of uh, supporting um, transgender operations in school bathrooms and elementary schools, right? We're known as that
so
party because we've
ridiculous.
allowed, yeah, absolutely ridiculous. We have allowed them to define us. Um, Nationally, I'm not sure how well we can affect that other than to demonstrate through our own leadership here in New Mexico. Because we have, I feel like this is a little place where we can actually make this impact. We have 5 electoral votes, right? We sort of fly under the radar from the National Committee. That kind of allows us to take our own narrative back. We can connect back to our community roots. We can get involved in our communities. That's what we're doing at Bernalillo County. We're doing community volunteer efforts like we did some serving of pre-holiday meals for our unsheltered population.
Mm-hmm.
Several of our party members are volunteering this coming weekend with the PIT count, which is the count for establishing how many of our unsheltered people are living in Albuquerque, so that then our government resources understand what needs to be spent to help support them and how to move forward to create solutions for this
Mm-hmm.
issue.
Mm-hmm.
And we have we're seeking to work with an organization called El Centro de Igualdad y Derechos, which is the Center for Equality and Rights. They do a lot with the immigrant population, and will be so what we're doing at the county level is choosing one volunteer effort each month, getting our people out to do that. So then we become known more in the community as an organization that helps, that is
Mm-hmm.
connected to community roots, and it demonstrates through action what we're about.
Mm-hmm.
I think we have a great opportunity right now in New Mexico to do the same thing in all of our counties. So we take our brand back. We establish our brand. We decide what the narrative is about us, and we remind people who we actually are, instead of just constantly responding to the crazy accusations
I've
that the right throws at us.
I talked to some of the other candidates, and one of the things that we really have honed in on is their messaging is better. They message
Oh, totally.
louder, wider, better, which is
Yes,
why I, spent a
totally.
ridiculous amount of money on like nice microphones, and
Yeah.
just so I mean my woke Blue Roswell Woke Donkeys is the name of my YouTube channel, and I'm
Yes.
not just going to stop after I've interviewed all the candidates. I mean, I'm going to do some
Right.
educating, and we can work and coincide and discuss those things
Yeah.
and have it as a resource so that we can start really helping New Mexico's become more educated about local
Yes.
politics, community outreach,
Yes.
just a variety of things. I know I want to talk a lot about our museum here that got destroyed, and
Mm.
there are just so many things that we can do to
Yes.
message. And I know one of the other candidates said they were in Lincoln, and Lincoln said, "Well, they're always in the newspaper." Well, are you calling the newspaper and telling them anything? And the answer is, I'm not
Mm-hmm.
even doing that, but I
Mm-hmm.
do TikTok videos and
Mm-hmm.
Instagram videos and sometimes Facebook, but of course, those are all iffy now. But I've done a lot of those, and I've had a lot of mileage from those. And so I think it's
Good.
not a bad idea for all the county chairs to get some help with some messaging and stuff. And
Yes.
it's, I mean, I don't know.
Yes.
It's just a
Yes.
thought.
And that's, yes. And to just quickly expand on that, that
Mm-hmm.
is something I think the state party can be doing a great job of. Let's decide what our message is for this month. Let's create some templates. Let's create some newsletter access. Let's create some social media templates, some images, some
Mm-hmm.
quotes, all that good stuff, and send it
Mm-hmm.
out. to our county parties so they can proliferate that information, right?
Yeah.
So that is something that is it's missing right now. We don't have a standardized, or even we don't even have the ability right now to like create our own little echo chambers, right? Because there's
Mm-hmm.
not consistent messaging coming from the top down. And I think that's a place where we can really refine some of the stuff that we've been doing as a state
Mm-hmm.
party. But
Mm-hmm.
those are easy things to implement, right?
Mm-hmm.
Set up our
Mm-hmm.
county parties with a mailing platform, create templates that are similarly branded and the message is consistent across the board. Um, hit the things that we do, get it out there what we stand for. We do not do a good job of selling ourselves. The Republican Party does a great job of selling themselves. We have so many more accomplishments that we could sell, and we need to get marketing and
Well,
promotional
we need to
individuals to
invite the
help us out.
press to the events that we
Yes,
have. We need to
yes,
invite them, the newspapers to the local
yes,
union halls when we have an event
yes,
there, and things of
yes.
that nature.
Yes, there is
So,
a, I don't know if you already interviewed Julie Rochman, who's running for treasurer. She's got
hmm
a heavy background in messaging and
hmm
media training. And she has brought this to the county party too. Like, let's get press releases out. Let's do that. She's got tons of great experience
yeah,
about what works,
you can look
and we can
her
utilize that.
interview up if you want to watch it. It's
Okay.
on
Oh, I
Blue
wasn't sure if
Roswell
you,
Woke Donkeys, and so
yeah, yeah.
I've interviewed Augustine, Julie, Sarah,
Mm-hmm,
and
mm-hmm,
Daniel. And I think
mm-hmm.
I just have Cam on Friday. He's
Oh,
running
good.
for secretary. And then I
Mm-hmm.
have, I still need to schedule Latesha. So we'll do that. But
Yeah,
the last question I
yeah,
have is, this is
yeah,
your last chance to sell yourself kind of thing. It says, what do you want people to know who will be voting for you about your commitment, your knowledge, focus going forward? Anything you want to say that you want somebody that you don't want to go, dang, I wish I'd said that. So
yeah.
go for it.
I'm probably still gonna have that thought later, but
We
that's
always
okay.
do.
We always do, exactly.
Yeah.
I'm committed. I think that working in the Bernalillo County Party with the time investment that's required demonstrates commitment. Um, it is an inherent need for me to work in the community in a role of service. That is
Mhm.
that is what I do and what my life has been about. Um, I know from speaking with our current chair that it will require a commitment of at least 2 terms. So I'm dedicated to doing that. It is the kind of work that I want to do. It is the place where I feel like I can actually impact the party on the whole. My background is extensive. It's not traditional. I have lived through some really ridiculous mistakes in my past, and um, have learned the ways in which we can collectively sort of create safeguards for helping our younger communities avoid similar mistakes. Um, I I'm a native New Mexican. This is my home. This land. Like I think I told you, like I was born in Santa Fe, raised south of Las Cruces, live here in Albuquerque, have traveled. I love our state.
Is that in
Um,
Anthony? Did you grow up in Anthony? Or
I
is
didn't. I actually grew up in a little town called Bracito.
Bracito?
Um,
I don't know where that
yeah,
one is, but I've spent some
yeah,
significant time down in that area, so I'll have to go
yeah.
back and
So
look.
if you know where Mesquite is,
Oh, I do. Okay.
um, it's between Mesquite and Las Cruces. Just a
Oh,
tiny little blip right in there.
like, oh, you
Um,
passed it.
yep,
No, I'm
exactly.
just kidding.
Like one road, you passed it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it's actually, I think it's 3 county roads, but it's a tiny, tiny little area. But
Okay.
yeah, I'm connected to the land. It is the work of my ancestors. I have an interesting ancestry of that many New Mexicans probably can relate to. I understand what it is like to come from a colonized background, to come from the colonizer background. Like I understand what these are doing. This is my degree. This is obviously my passion. Otherwise, I wouldn't have been seeking the education to do it. Um, I think that this is a really good opportunity. I'm someone who can sort of bridge our communities. I think I serve well in that role. And
Mhm.
I've done that with our youth and with the folks who have been working tirelessly for decades in this role. and helping to build those relationships. That's what I love to do, is bring people together to figure out better and innovative ways to achieve greater results for us.
Mm-hmm.
I just have a real passion and an excitement for doing the work. It is a priority for me. I don't have kids, and I think that maybe this is the way that I can serve our um, humanity. Um,
Yeah,
and this is maybe a legacy that perhaps my nieces and nephews can learn from and hopefully be inspired by. And I hope that it's a way. I hope I can be like a catalyst for folks to come into the fold to understand what we're really about as Democrats. That is my commitment. It's life work. It will not go away. Should I not be elected for this role, it will not go away. It will continue to happen. Um, I will continue to be a knowledge seeker and a growth and development seeker, and help. I just want to bring humanity back to our interactions. I want to help us bridge. I want to build relationships. I want to do what we can to ensure longevity for the party, and because I believe in democratic values, and I won't stop believing in those. So
that's great.
those are the ways that all of that supplements my commitment to the work.
Okay. All right.
Yeah. So
That's a wonderful answer. I so appreciate
thank
that
you.
you spent
Yeah.
so much time with me today. And I will get this uploaded onto YouTube. Again, it's Blue Roswell Woke Donkeys. It's
Yes.
my own station, but it'll be on the Facebook page for the Democratic Party. I have been
Okay.
posting to the Facebook page that's called the Chairs of New Mexico Democrats.
Mm-hmm.
There's a
Yes.
place, so I've been posting there. If you're looking for it. I only have access to the CD2, so I've been sending them that group page, the videos as well. And then
Yes.
you can always copy and paste it from YouTube or from any of the places you find the link and share it. So
Yes.
obviously, I want people to subscribe to the channel because that elevates it and it'll pop up more when people say
Mm-hmm.
things. I need to get better at using hashtags and stuff, um, but I'm
We
just
all
happy
do.
to get it right. And so anyway, well, I'm gonna tell everybody thank you for joining us and watching, and we hope that you get more involved and stay involved. And now is not the time to quit. So I'm gonna say goodbye.
Yes. Thank you. Thank you,
All right.
Sarah, for having me and for offering this platform for all the candidates.
Oh, absolutely
Wonderful.
delighted to do
Yeah.
so. All right. Thanks.